Hello everyone, what's up and welcome back to my channel. I am doing a little Q&A today, a cozy fall. I put on my most giant fall sweater to do this Q&A. I normally don't do this and apologize in advance, but I am feeling a little bit under the weather. I've been tested multiple times for the thing. It is seasonal allergies, but if I sound a little funny, or if you zoom into this video and notice the flaky, scaly skin around my nose from blowing my nose so much, that's why. Just putting it out there in advance. First question is about the metaverse, your thoughts on the Facebook name change and any effects it and recent events around Facebook will have on how people market on the platform. I did a whole video about that. I'll link it. That video was kind of from the personal perspective, and I do want to clear that up because the only criticism I really got about that video was saying you don't really understand it and you just talked about surface level stuff. And this is true. I was just talking from my own personal perspective and my own life. I think it's important to note that what I do, while it is related to the internet, I still have personal opinions about how I want to live my life. And one of my responses in that video was, you know, I understand Web3 and all that stuff. I'm learning about that as well, but I personally just want a slower life. I do. I'm not trying to be out here, you know, in the metaverse all day. I have other concerns, so I think that's important to note. But as far as how people will market on the platform, I think it's too early to really say. I mean, Mark's thing was really just this concept that he was introducing. It wasn't really a step-by-step, here's the exact features we'll be releasing and things like that. So I think until more on that really comes, I don't think there's much insight that I can really give. As far as advertising and like the whistleblower and, you know, the other controversies going on, I mean, I do think that, yeah, I think you have to assess whether or not Facebook is the right fit for your company. And if you are Patagonia, you're doing the right thing probably ethically by sticking by your brand values and not advertising on the platform. So yes, of course, I think there are going to be brands who do that. I think especially with the rise of TikTok and just other social platforms and other mediums, people will be moving their advertising over there. It'll be interesting to see, and that's all I got for now, truthfully. What do you do when you think you're attracting the wrong audience? Usually when you're attracting the wrong audience, it's due to one of two things. It's wrong messaging, or it is the wrong platform. So place or message. I'll give you an example of messaging. Something that a lot of people do when they first start out is they really run on value, right? They're like, we have a package for every budget, or there's something here for everybody. And while this is a noble cause, if you will, it's a nice thing to say, what it does is it attracts price shoppers as opposed to people who are working with you because you are the best in the business, or because you focus on one particular niche or one particular style of content or something like that. So assess your messaging and make sure that you're not doing any of that. Or, you know, this could be niche. If you're attracting the wrong niche, make sure that your messaging is niche specific. As far as platform, this going back to the Facebook thing a little bit, but there's kind of a conspiracy theory on, you know, marketing Twitter and things like that, that Instagram is inflating Reels views. I have a little story about that, maybe for another time, but I have seen personally that my perspective is that Reels views are a little bit inflated lately. And so I see this a lot with platforms like that. You know, a business will get on Reels and they'll be like, we're getting, you know, 10,000, 20,000, a million, whatever views per reel, but we're not seeing the conversion. So that can sometimes be it too. If you know, maybe you're on a platform that's getting you a lot of visibility, but they're not actually a warm audience. And who knows, maybe they're not inflated views, maybe they are real views, but it's just the wrong audience on that platform. So maybe try going down the LinkedIn route or whatever the case may be instead. I'll also say this, I'm a big believer in inbound marketing. I've said this many times, but it has to work alongside outbound marketing, at least when you're first starting out. I actually recommend starting with outbound, getting a couple of good, solid clients before you really go all in on content marketing. That's what worked for me. I mean, I was a working social media manager before I started actively posting marketing content on YouTube. So keep that in mind. If you haven't applied for things on, you know, LinkedIn, Upwork, if you haven't sent out any cold emails, if you haven't, you know, just done the work of outbound marketing and you're relying only on inbound, that can also leave you a little bit disappointed too. Okay, I sound like a frog. I'm like listening to myself now, and maybe this was a bad idea. How to balance time with personal life and a thriving career. I seem to be all or nothing, either all in with work or all in with personal. I think you just have to define balance for yourself. You know, I think you have to decide like what are the things that are don't miss. For me, I go to piano class every week, so I know that is a non-negotiable. Unless I'm sick or something like that, I am going to make the time. So find those things for you. Maybe that's family, maybe that's a relationship, maybe that's a, night out with your girlfriends. Just figure out what those non-negotiables are for you. I think that's really important because work-life balance is going to be defined differently for everybody. Maybe it's sleep, maybe it's exercise, maybe it's eating right, whatever that is. I think just define those things and really be rigid, like treat those like a part of your job. I do that for food. I used to be really weird about food. Like I would skip meals and stuff because I would just be working so much. But I said, you know what, that is a priority in my life is eating right. So I make sure every day I take a real lunch break. I cook something. Usually it's not just like a microwave meal most days. Honestly, the answer to a lot of questions, I think I'm just gonna like make this the default answer is raise your rates. Like in most cases, if you are working yourself so much that you don't have time to go to a piano class, you don't have time to make a meal for yourself, you don't have time to hang out with your boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or whatever, chances are you're probably taking on too many clients, and you're taking on too many clients because you're not charging enough for each client. So raise your rates. Just a little bit, raise them up. Go-to organization tips for collaborating with another marketing team or company. I like Asana. I'm a big Asana person. I know a lot of people love Notion nowadays. It doesn't work with my brain. I know all my designer friends like Notion, so maybe it's like a design brain thing. I don't know, but try out different tools and see what works for you. For me, I'm an Asana girl through and through. I feel like I'm like a snow angel or something, like Frosty the Snowman. All right, Asana, Notion, try them out, just test different things. I recommend using them for your internal team first before going and collaborating with another marketing team so that you really get the system down and see if you like it. In your opinion, when is the right moment to hire your first employee? So I think it's important to be profitable first, at least for our businesses, for online businesses, service-based businesses. I think it's really important to be profitable first, meaning you're making more money than you are spending. Obviously, if you run a restaurant or a brick and mortar store or something like that, you're gonna need staff on day one. So I can't speak to that. Look for someone else who knows about that stuff. That's not the type of business that I run. I run online businesses, and it's important to be profitable first. So bootstrap, build up the business on your own. Maybe hire freelancers, if you need a designer to do a logo or something like that. Freelancer is one thing, but if you're gonna hire people on full-time or long-term, it's important to be profitable first. It was also important for me before I hired my first long-term full-time employee to have 6 months of salaries in the bank. So of both of our salaries. So that was really important to me to make sure that if something happened in the business, I wasn't gonna miss either of our paychecks and things like that. And I would say in terms of the workload, if you're thinking about it, it's probably a good time. If you're feeling like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna have enough work for them to do, you will find work for them to do. There was probably like a couple days of me hiring Megan, my operations manager, where I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm done working by noon. This is amazing. And then you find things to fill that time. Now she's basically doing my old job, and now I have like a completely new job because we're launching this whole new thing. So you'll find things for them to work on. So yeah, I would say it's more of a financial question, honestly. Also, someone wanted to know, will I do SMMA again, the Social Media Management Accelerator? And what is OBLL, or the Online Business Launch Lab? Why am I moving in this direction? So real quick, yes, we will do SMMA again. SMMA is a in-depth strategy course. It's a cohort-based course. It's 8 weeks. We go through everything you need to know to actually do the job of a social media manager. We will do it again probably in late winter or spring 2022. In January 2022, we're going to be doing the first cohort-based version of the Online Business Launch Lab. I'll leave a link down below if you want to get on the hand raiser list. I'll send you an email when the curriculum is announced and when pricing is released and when it's available on sale. Stay tuned. Cyber Week is going to be a good week. Just saying. But Online Business Launch Lab is really meant to take your online business idea from concept to launch. So we'll be going through all of the operational stuff that you need to get your business up and running, all the systems and the back end work that you need to do, all the ideating and the packages and the pricing and the curriculum if you're going to do a course or a coaching program, all of that stuff, as well as all of the marketing things that you're going to need to get in order. We'll be doing like a step-by-step calendar, a launch calendar for you for the content that you need to create, selling, how to sell through those objections and get your online business into the right hands. So that's really what it's meant to be. And I think it's important that we do that at the new year. I know a lot of people are looking to start businesses in 2022, and I think it's great continuation for my alum of SMMA who know how to do the job and now just need to get their packages and stuff in the right place. It's going to be a course for service providers, educators, so if you want to create a course, and coaches. So if you fall into any of those categories, if you're looking to launch a business in one of those categories, or if you already have a business, but you're looking to introduce a new revenue stream, this is going to be a good fit for you. So again, I'll leave the hand raiser list down below. And to answer the question of why I'm doing that, a lot of the times why people's businesses, online businesses fail is not because they don't know enough, because there's so much great information out there. There's so much great information on this channel, on YouTube in general, right? On courses. I mean, you can learn anything you want to nowadays. But it's usually because they're spending more money than they're taking in. They're not knowing where to spend money. They're not knowing what to pull the lever on in terms of financials, in terms of service offerings. Their mindset is not in the right place. Like, these are really the reasons that I see online businesses failing. So I want to address that and really share what I've learned over the years of building multiple six-figure revenue streams and businesses. So that's my goal. So I'm excited. I'm gonna go to the Instagram questions. Some of these are a little bit more on the personal side, so if you're not into that, see ya. I'll start with this one. If you weren't a social media manager, then what would you be? So I answered this question on Instagram. I'm gonna answer it on here as well. I've made it actually really clear. I feel that I am not just a social media manager anymore. I don't take on new full service social media management clients. The majority of the business is content, education, speaking. That is the majority of my business now, which I'm very lucky and blessed to say. I think that social media management is an amazing starting point if you want to get started in digital. Oh, and also I do video content, done for you videos for other companies, so content as well. I think social media management is an amazing place to get started if you're looking to work in digital, because a lot of us, if you're watching videos like this, you understand social media, you're interested in social media, and I think there is a really high demand for social media management. I think from there, and this is something I've seen from my students and friends in the industry, is a lot of times they will find an area that they're like super passionate about within that field. So I have students who have went on to become photographers or copywriters, or, they have built an agency that does a lot of different things, or designers and things like that. So I think I've made that very clear, but I want to make it even more clear just for those of you who, might be confused. I don't consider myself a social media manager today. I consider myself an online business owner, but as far as career, if I never started my career as a social media manager, I actually went to school for political science and film. I wanted to work in broadcasting. I wanted to be a newscaster. And then I kind of started to research and realize that to do that, you have to get paid very little in most cases to start out and move to somewhere like Iowa or something. And that wasn't something that I was interested in, but that's what I wanted to do. I also have always been really passionate about music too. My whole family on my mom's side, they're artists and musicians. My grandpa played fiddle and flute, and my grandma is a beautiful singer and plays guitar. So I've always really loved music. I've played music too. Like I said, I'm relearning piano again now. I played drums growing up. I never really wanted to be an artist myself, but I always wanted to work in the industry somehow. Maybe being like an A&R or something like that, or being, a writer for Rolling Stone or something like that. I think that would be cool. Or maybe working in TV too. My dream job would be to be a co-host on The View. Maybe personal, but what do you do about health insurance as someone who works in social media? So I just pay out of pocket for my health insurance on the healthcare.gov, the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, whatever you want to call it, marketplace. I think my insurance is like a little under $200 a month. It is very basic though. My insurance basically just covers like an annual physical and, if I go to the emergency room, I might not end up with like a $30,000 bill. I will totally acknowledge my privilege and that I don't have any long-term major health issues. I take an iron pill, a vitamin D pill, and that's like pretty much it because I'm anemic. I don't have any like major illnesses or anything like that. So yeah, that works for me. When we got married, actually looking at it, it would have been more expensive for me to be on my husband's plan. His plan is better than mine, but it would have been more expensive. So I was like, whatever, I'll just like keep paying for it. So if you are looking for health care, there is a resource, freelancersunion.org or .com. I'll link it down below. They have some plans available as well for freelancers specifically, so you can check that out. I know a lot of my freelance friends, if they are religious, there are like religious kind of crowdfunding options. I don't know exactly what they're called. If anyone knows, maybe drop it down below. I'm not a part of a church or anything like that. In certain states, you can use websites like Catch benefits and things like that. I don't think that's available here in Michigan though, so you can Google and see if that is available, but it's definitely something that it needs to be better. I mean, I think healthcare in this country, not to be political, but it needs to be better and more accessible for people in general, but especially freelancers. It is a hard thing. What I did when I left my day job is I just budgeted that into what I needed to make each month. So I basically included that as like rent, you know, I need an extra $200, a non-negotiable that I'm going to make every month from freelancing contracts. It's just money. So kind of think of it that way until maybe we get better healthcare. Okay, so this one is one that is a lot more personal and kind of, I'm not mad at the question. I love the person who asked this question, actually. She's amazing. But it kind of confused me. Let me read it. It said, how do you keep the balance of being a wife/partner and being a business owner? I also got a DM about this saying, can I make a video about this? And I'm like, I don't have that much to say about it, really. I don't know. I got married. I didn't have a baby. I think like having a baby is a different thing because I would be responsible for another human life, like keeping it alive 24 hours a day. That's something you can't tell the baby, hey, you need to make your own dinner tonight, right? So I understand the pressures that come with that. But for marriage, I don't know. I guess we are pretty non-traditional in a lot of ways. One way is that we definitely don't look at marriage as like, I am his mother. I have friends who are very, very conservative, very, very traditional. I have friends that are like way on the other end of the spectrum and very, very non-traditional, like way more non-traditional even than my partner and I. Do what works for you and your relationship. But I guess that's my advice is be clear about that before you get married. Like be clear about that in the dating phase, what each of you sees, you know, out of a long-term relationship or marriage. I look at my relationship as a help in my life and not as a hindrance, you know? We help each other out. If I'm having a really busy day or a busy week at work, usually he will pick up a lot of the slack when it comes to meals and the house and things like that, and vice versa. If he's having a busy week at work or going through things personally or whatever, I'll try to cook dinner more often that week or try to pick up groceries or like whatever. That's my idea of what a positive relationship should be, is we should be helping each other. It shouldn't be like, oh, I just did all my work and now I have to take care of his personal life and do his laundry and, you know, do all these things. Like that's just not our style, but you have to, you know, find what works for you. And I will say also something, there are a lot of men who think that way. So it definitely exists. I think you just have to be upfront and communicative about what you want out of a relationship. And if you're not aligned, that will be an issue. Communicate. That's my answer. Okay, I'll answer this one. This one is also a little bit more on the personal side. It said, why do you live in Detroit? First thing I'll say is I move into the burbs soon. I've been here for 6 years, something like that, and I'm ready for quiet. It is not a slight on the city of Detroit because it's done so much for me and I love it very much. But any city has noise, has litter, you know, has safety issues, and I'm ready to be boring and suburban, okay? So I'll be moving soon. I'll be telling more about that journey as we, you know, as our house gets built. But why I live in Michigan in the Midwest and all that, I think this one is important to talk about because I have had some people come at it from a judgmental perspective of like, Latasha, you could be so much more successful if you lived in LA or if you lived in New York or if you moved to Silicon Valley or whatever. And I'm like, first of all, that's offensive because I think I'm quite successful. Sorry, but I do. And second of all, I actually kind of disagree with that. You know, I think that there's a lot that you can do in wherever you are nowadays thanks to the internet. I don't think you have to move anywhere for most jobs. You know, maybe if I wanted to really pursue a career in TV or in music or something, maybe that would make sense for me to move to one of those places. But I think there's so much that you can do in your hometown with an internet connection now. Why I stay here is obviously, you know, family and things like that, even though I'm pretty far from my family, but they're still closer than if I was in New York or LA. And secondly, it's the cost of living is a lot more affordable here. I mean, I'm also a tourist and like home is very important. I lived in DC, if you didn't know that, when I was younger. And I mean, the rats are like, they're small dogs, you know, and I am very much a home and a cleanliness person. Like that's very important to me to feel comfortable. So it's just not my style. Michigan's also beautiful, you guys. If you are watching from a different country or you've never been here, come visit. I'll tell you all the cool places to go. It's beautiful because there's country like where I was born and where I'm from, and then there's big cities like where I live now. Beautiful colors. We have the Great Lakes, which are like little mini oceans, and nice people. This is something that I think I really took for granted until I started traveling a lot, but I realized how nice people are in the Midwest and probably the South too. I've only been to Nashville, but I hear people in the South are very nice too. Oh, and we're right across the river from Canada too. So we have easy access to Toronto, which is an amazing, huge city as well. So I love it here. All right, thanks so much for tuning in. I hope this video was interesting. Leave me a thumbs up if it was. Subscribe. I post videos a couple times a week. Also follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter if you want to chat with me in between videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.